Welcome back to Miss Lisa's YouTube channel where we talk about science and math. And today, this is a very fun thing that you can do with your TI-84 graphing calculator. And what we're going to do is we are going to be putting in matrices to solve in big equations that have a system of linear equations that are big that have x, y, and z, and we have three equations. So let me go over here. If you are doing this as a class with me, that this is a problem in our book that we solved not using matrices. It had three equations. They had x, y, and z. And remember, if you were with me when we did this in class, or if you saw in the other video, that it took a whole piece of paper. The book doesn't even show all the work. Over here I was having to, do in more things because they didn't want to take all the ink it would take to show this problem in its entirety. So this is a big pain. And am I allowed to say that as a math teacher? It is, though. The reason why is there's just so many places if you do this the regular way with combination and substitution. There's so many places to make a mistake. So it's really fun to put it in your calculator, and your calculator will solve what x, y, and z is where these three things intersect. So when you have a system of linear equations, the way the book shows it is that what you're usually looking for is one spot that is in three dimensions, which would have, instead of an ordered pair, an ordered triplet, where these three planes meet. And there are other ways that things can do, but your usual problem is you're looking for an ordered triplet. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use matrices in our calculator to solve this instead, and it's just way better. If you are following along in the book, it's on page 176, and their example is not very good, but it'll work. I can show you how to do it from it. In it, this is the three equations they want us to do. The first one is 3x plus 5y plus 6z equals 30. And then their other two equations they got from here, x equals 3 and y equals 2, and then they're telling you the answer there. So those are our three equations. Now, how you do this is you put it, let's see, I wrote it over here. Sorry about that. This is making great TV, isn't it? All right, so you put it in you write them down in this grid where you figure out, remember how we learned doing the quadratic equation. What is the A coefficient? What's the B coefficient? And the C coefficient. But C was the bigger number in the quadratic equation. For this, we put our three equations in this grid, and we have letters that go with the coefficients. So this is my first equation, and 3 is the A coefficient, 5 is the B coefficient, 6 is the C coefficient, and I don't know who was in charge of numbering these, but 30 is the J coefficient, okay? Then you go down here, and here's your next equation. And so 1, there's an understood 1. 1 is the D coefficient, and we don't have a Y coefficient for this one, so the E coefficient is 0. And we don't have a Z coefficient, so the F coefficient is 0, but then K is 3. And then we come down to the next one, and all we were told was Y equals 2, but we can fill in that means that we have 0 X's and we have 0 Z's, so this one is G, H, I, and L. Now, in matrices, you have something called the determinant, and that's where you put into your matrix the coefficients A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. So I'm going to put 3, 5, 6, 1, 0, 0, and then 0, 1, 0 as a matrix. Okay, so that's what we're going to do first, is we have to put in the determinant. Now we finally got to our calculators. So turn them on down there. I'm on a graphing screen. I need to quit out of that. So second mode is always quit. And if you look on your calculator, painted on the calculator surface behind the x to the -1 button is the word matrix. So that's the thing we're going to be using. So we do second x to the -1 and we get to matrices. And see, I already have some in here, but no worries. I'm going to make the A matrix the determinant, the B matrix X, the C matrix Y, and the D matrix Z. You don't have to do that. Sometimes I do it different ways, but it's the way I did it today, so that's how I'm going to do it. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is edit this A matrix. So I go over and then see how I'm on edit, and I'm on A, and I hit enter. This matrix that I have in here is a 2x4. I need a 3x3. 3 down, 3 over. So I'm going to, how you change that is you just write over it. You don't delete, you just write 3 and it writes on top of it. Arrow over here and I write 3 and now I hit enter and see it fixes it to be the right size. And now, same thing, you don't delete, you just write over it. So my A1 is 3, so I'm going to put that in. And it puts it down here on the bottom. Notice it didn't change it here, but when I hit enter, it pops it up there. My B1 was 5. My C1 is 6. My D1 is 1. My E1 is 0. My F1 is 0. My G1 is 0. My H1 is 1. My I1 is 0. All right, so I put in 3, 5, 6, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. And that is my first matrix. Now, I need to put in my next one. So now I'm going to go back to second matrix, and I'm going to go over to edit, and I'm going to go down to 2, and I'm going to edit my B one. So I hit enter. I have to change this to 3x3. And now I'm going to put in my B matrix. Okay, so what's the B matrix? So for the B matrix, this is going to be the one I use to get X. It's not what X equals, but it's the one I'm going to use to get what X equals. And it is J, B, C, K, E, F, L, H, I. See, it's a pattern where you do this one, then those two like that. Okay, so I'm going to put this in. So I'm going to put 35, 6, 3, 0, 0, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so now I'm over here and I'm going to start putting that one in. So it's 30, 5, 6, 3, 0, 0, 2, 1, 0. Hope I put these all in right. Just got to put them in carefully. Okay, now that one's all good. So now I'm going to go back to matrix again, and I'm going to put in the 1. I'm going to go to edit again. I'm going to go down to the third one. I'm going to change it to be a 3x3. And now I'm going to put in for my C matrix the pattern that you do for Y. And for Y it's AJC. So you go AJC, DKF, GLI. Ta-da! And you see that pattern? So I'm going to put it in. So my first one is 3 for A. For J is 30. And then C is 6. Now I do my next line. D is 1. K is 3. And F is 0. And now I do my last line. G is 0. L is 2. And I is 0. So that's the one I did. AJC, let me go back, oops, sorry. AJC, DKF, and then GLI. Okay, so now that one's all done. So now I go back to put in my next one. So I'm going to go to second matrix again. This time I'm going down to D. Well, I actually don't have to go over first. I'm going over to edit. Now I go down to D. I hit enter. I'm going to make it 3 by 3. Okay, and this time the pattern is ABJ. ABJ. So you're skipping this column right there, and that's what you're going to put in. So this one is 3, 5, 30, 1, 0, 3, 0, 1, 2. All right, so those are my matrices. They're all done now. Okay, now I'm ready to do my math. Yay! So I'm going to quit out of this, and on my calculator, I'm going to put the determinant of B over the determinant of A, and it will tell me what X equals, where these intersect. Okay, so I have to go get the determinant thing first. So I go to matrix, I go over to math, which I always think is ironic. Oops, I pushed the wrong button. Try it again. I pushed grab instead of over, which I always think is ironic because aren't they all math? And see, number 1 is determinant. So I'm going to hit enter, and it popped it up on my regular math screen. Now I need to tell it that the determinant of B is what I want. I have to go back to matrix and get it. So I go down, just on the name screen, I go down to B, and I hit enter, and there it is. I can close my parentheses, and I now can do divided by. And you could have used your shortcut, your alpha y equals here, and it might have been better. I'll do it on the next one if there's any problems with this one. Okay, so now I got to do, it's going to be divided by the determinant of A, which is the determinant of the determinant. That's confusing. All right, so we got to go back to matrix. We got to go over to math. We get this determinant. And now we go back to matrix. And we want it to be A, so we're just going to hit enter in parentheses and enter. And they tell us that our first point in our ordered triplet is 3. So if we were going to write this, X, Y, Z, we know X is 3. So now we're going to find out what Y equals to. And I'm going to show you how to use the shortcut menu. So do this. Do second y equals, oops, that's not what I want. Sorry about that. I want to do alpha y equals, and that pops up a shortcut menu. And number 1 is n/d, which is numerator divided by denominator. And there, look, it gives me little boxes and a fraction bar, and that is really handy to use because a lot of times your calculator has a hard time knowing what's in the numerator and what's in the denominator. So do use that. Now, if you just tried it and it didn't work, your calculator needs updating. You could get an update from TI-84 from the website, the Texas Instrument website. Go to 84. You might have to have like your mom, or if you're an adult, register as a teacher, and then you can get the software update. But all 84s will do this, but some of the older ones just need their software updated, which is good to do anyway, right? All right, so I got my little boxes for numerator and denominator, and I'm ready to go get, for y, I'm going to go get determinant C divided by determinant A. So we go to second matrix, and I want to say determinant first, so I go over here to math, the ironic button. I hit enter, and there's determinant. And now I go back to matrix, and this time for y, I want determinant C. So I go down to C and hit enter. And now I'm going to close the parentheses. It might do it without closing the parentheses, but it's just good too. I go down to the denominator. I'm going to go back to matrix. I'm going to go back and get determinant. I need it to say that. So I hit enter. And now I go back to matrix, and I wanted to, my determinant is A, so I want to pick A. So it was already there, and I close the parentheses, and now I say enter, and I find out that y equals 2. Now, some of you are going, this is too much work. I'll just do the math. This math, I think this is way, once you start understanding that these are patterns, you can put them in real easily. And once you understand that you just divide them by these matrices, this really is easier, and you're less likely to make a mistake and much faster. But you got to get the hang of it. So give yourself a chance to learn it. All right, so now we're going to do Z. So we need to go back and get the word determinant first, but I'm going to do the alpha y equals and pick numerator denominator first. Now I'm going to go get the word determinant by going over to math. There it is, enter. And this time for Z, it's going to be determinant D over determinant A. So now I got determinant, now I got to go get D. So I do second matrix. I go down, second x to the negative 1, which is matrix. I go to pick D is 4, is the one I want. I'm going to close the parentheses with those parentheses button. I arrow down to the denominator. I'm going to go get determinant again. So second, and now I go over to math. I pick determinant. There it is. Now I'm going to go get A again, because that's our denominator. Close the parentheses, and the answer is 11.6. Now, in the book, they turned that into a decimal. I think they do that sometimes to try to keep you from realizing that this is way easier to use your calculator than to do the long math that was like on that page. So I think they're trying to discourage you by giving you weird answers to make you think, oh, you don't really use that very often. Oh, got my finger in the shot there. So that's the answer to the problem, your X, Y, and Z term. So we could do the same thing with this one. And we could put everything in the grid. That would be A, B, C, J, and then D, E, F, K, and then G, H, I, L. Once you label those things, and it's really easy like that, you just, and like now it would be easy to do because I've already got all of my matrices. They're all the right size grid. I just have to rewrite it in, and then I could get the answer. And our answer for this one was X was -3, Y was 2, and Z was 4. And if you remember, this took lots of paper, and it was a very big, long problem to do this the way the book says, through combination. Way more fun to do it this way. Let's see if I showed you everything I want to. Okay, so if you did not see part 1 of this, go back and watch using matrix operations. You should go back and watch that video. And then in your book, it's page 217. This is where these formulas come from. There's the pattern, A, B, C, J. This is the formulas for the determinant for X, Y, and Z. Your book makes it look like you just put the matrix divided by determinant. But in your calculator, you have to tell it determinant in the numerator and denominator. And you can do this problem too. You can use your calculator instead. So try all of these. These are lots of fun. I think it's really useful on the SAT. If they give you some nasty 3 equations with X, Y, and Z, boom, you put it in your calculator, and you've got the answer. Bada bing, bada boom. There's the answer. So learn how to do this. Matrices don't go away. If you end up as a chemistry major, you will be using matrices in chemistry to be able to do the quantum kind of parts of chemistry. So they're very useful. And I think once you get here, they're fun. And you can do all kinds of fast little fun things with it on your calculator. So like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Miss Lisa's YouTube channel. Math is great.